Hi dears, now we will start with a new chapter called charges. So in this chapter, this is your sixth chapter of your Companies Act, registration of charges and its registration. So it is going to tell you different provisions relating to charges. First, we should know what is the meaning of charge. Charge means for what property, whether it will include mortgage. Mortgage is for what property, what is called a lien. So all these things we need to cover in the definition. Then we need to know who should register for the charges, whether the company or the charge holder. What are the procedures for applying for the registration of charge? What is called deemed notice? Do you have any authorities to be appointed exclusively for that? Satisfaction of charge. What is certification of registration of satisfaction of charge? If you do all these provisions, what are the benefits that you get? For what you will have to be very careful about, because when you acquire from any property by creating a charge, whether it is proper or not, we should check. Like how we have our encumbrance certificate for any property. So like that, you will have to see all the complaints provisions. Any non-complaints, what is the punishment? Can central government rectify if there is anything relating to register of charges? All these things, if you are able to cover, then it becomes your charges and registration of charges. We say charges in a very easy way to remember your chapter number 6. For our easy understanding, I would have already underlined the keywords and kept, so we can go through, take the concept and finish it very easily. Now shall we go one after another? Yes, charges. Charges means what? It is a interest or lien. When we say deposits, we told two types of deposits: secure deposit, unsecured deposit. When we say secure deposit, we made very clear you will have to create a charge on the property or assets. That means you will have to retain the possession by creating a security about it. Retain the possession means it is not that you will not give it back to any other, but the security is very, very strong. So when you create on the property, what type of property? That we will have to see. Property or assets of the company by acquiring any of its undertaking with the security and includes a mortgage. Mortgage, we always say it is for the immovable property. The word the mortgage, if you see, there are two things you need to cover. When it is movable property, it will go and get connected with your Sale of Goods Act 1930. When it is immovable property, you will have to go to Transfer of Property Act 1882. There are two different, for based on the property, there are two different acts to be covered. I'll again repeat. For movable property, in foundation law, you would have studied about your Sale of Goods Act 1930. When it is immovable property, you would have you should connect your Transfer of Property Act 1882. In that only they would have defined what it is mortgage, and that transfer of interest for a immovable property becomes your mortgage. Now with this, we can understand that it is an interest or lien created on property or assets of the company of any of its undertakings, or with the security includes a mortgage, which is for your immovable property. Now the charge can be inside India, outside India. It can be created accordingly. Now that's what I would have underlined, see, or marked. See the marked one: interest or lien created on property or assets of the company includes a mortgage. Okay. Now see the point that I'm talking about. In other words, what is that we are talking about? In other words, creation of charge is necessary in case of secured borrowings availed by the company. As I have already told, it is going to be for that. But when you say includes a mortgage, you should not think it is only for immovable property. It will be for movable property or immovable property, depending on the creation of it. Now, see the point here. Even where the secured debentures are issued, the charge on any specific movable or immovable property needs to be created in favor of debenture trustee. When you say securities, when you say assets or whatever, it belongs to, it is therefore debentures also. We need to be very strong. See the next point. Once the charge is created with ROC, it becomes an information available in the public domain, which can be used by a lender to his advantage. Now the point is, you should ensure if the person is lending and if you are acquiring the property, you need to check whether it is fraudulently done or not. For that only I was talking about the encumbrance certificate, no objection certificate. That means there should not be any problem relating to the property whatsoever. So you need to be very strong when you borrow funds for particularly for creating a charge, or if you try to acquire a property relating to that and it is there, when you will have to be very strong whether it is fraudulently obtained or not. If you have not done it but the charge is created, that means it is deemed to be understood that you have checked all that, then the company will not be responsible if once the charge is created. We need to be very strong about it. Also, when you wanted to find out from the lender, you should ensure that he is properly doing it. Okay, the law relating to registration of charges, it will move from 77 to 87 of the Companies Act. Now we'll go one after another and see what is there from 77, 87 and all. So accordingly, we will look back. Okay, yes, now we'll go to types of charges. I'll minimize so that it will be easy for us to concentrate only on what is already done. Yes, okay. Now coming back, types of charges. There are two types of charges. One is called fixed charge, another is floating charge. What is fixed charge? Fixed charge means it is only for the specific assets of the borrowing company. That means like land and building, it cannot be changed. The value or the value will be changed. The whole setup cannot be changed. Land and building, premises, machinery installed and all, what is identified at the time of creation of charge, it will become fixed. So the borrowing company is not permitted to sell the assets, though it may use them. It will be there. So you will ensure that you keep it really strong. It cannot be moved. So it is going to be a fixed charge. All these things are the examples that they have. Can be by way of mortgage or title deeds. Mortgage, I told you, it is for immovable property, and title deed, once you get the title, you will ensure that you can only use it them, but you cannot have the right to sell the assets. So we need to be very strong about it. See the next point, assets under fixed charge can be sold. If you wanted to, then it can be done only with the permission of the charge holder. So they made that very clearly that you can do, if you wanted to do, then the permission of charge holder is very important about it. Yes, okay. Now when you wanted to say who is the charge holder, a person in whose favor the charge is created is called charge holder. The person in whose favor the charge is created is called charge holder. So we need to be careful about it. Okay, next one, floating charge. Floating charge means it will keep on be changing the whole thing. Well, let's take for an example, if you try to take a raw material, yes, see the point here, it's already given, raw material, stock in debtors, the stock in trade, debtors, whatever, it will keep on be moving. What is raw material today may be work in progress tomorrow and finished goods in the next day. So we need to be very careful about whether it keeps on changing. So you will have to ensure that what is that floating charge. Floating charge is created by way of a hypothecation or lien. When you wanted to talk about property, we told immovable, movable property. Immovable property, we told fixed charge. So they will ensure that land and building, premises, machinery, whatever, it will not change the character of it. You don't think directly movable, immovable. It will not change the character, but it changes the character here. Then it becomes a floating charge. So we need to be strong in seeing what is the fixed, for what you will have to do fixed charge, for what you will have to do floating charge. In a way, it can be said that floating charge is a present security which covers in its fold all the assets that is mentioned in the hypothecation deed. That means what? Based on your hypothecation, that means for your movable property, or when it changes the characters, so you will ensure that those type of properties will be subject to what? Floating charge. That's the point that they wanted to say. Floating charge remains dormant until it becomes fixed or crystallizes. What does that mean? A floating charge can be converted into a fixed charge. Then that means you can put as a security or crystallizes. That means the whole thing, the terms of conditions is violated. What is crystallization? See here, crystallization of floating charge may occur when the terms of conditions of floating charge are violated, or ceases to carry on the business, or when the creditors enforce the security by floating charge. That means its purpose is completed. Only when it is done, then it becomes a floating charge. So we need to be very clear on what is going to be your floating charge. So fixed charge and floating charge are the two types of it. Now we will go inside section 77, duty to register. I was already told you what is the duty to register. Now there are two differences. What is before 2/11/2018, what is after 2/11/2018, because that's the change that they created in the Companies Act that point of time. charges created before 211, after 211. So this they will ask in the examinations, because for a simple reason, you need to know the difference between it. Now, previously, before 211 2018, they say charges has to be created within 30 days of creation. That means you will have to ensure that a proper lien has to be created for that particular property. So that means creation, it is going to be perfect, but will you register the charge? That means you will have to get the authorization within 30 days of creation. Listen, first we will complete what is before 211 2018, then we can go. If not registered in 30 days, register within 300 days of creation of payment on additional fees. That means almost a year, 365 days a year. So 2 months before, like 10 months, you can try to manage it and say, yes, you can create. If you are not registering with 300 within 30 days, you can have 300 days time. If not registered in 300 days also, register within 6 months from 211 2018 with additional fees. So that's what they have already made. Now the bifurcation is 30 days, if not in 30 days, 300 days, if not registered in 3 days, 6 months from 211 2018, because after that everything has to be changed, right? So that's what they wanted to make it. Either it was before 211, either the charge would have completely finished, that payment would have been completely full and it is securely done and it would have completed. If not done, then register within 6 months from 211 2018 with the additional fee. So that's what they wanted to talk about in your charges created before your 211 2018. Now see the change that we have got. Charges created on or after 211 2018, you will have to within 30 days register the charge. You have no change in that. But if not registered in 30 days, register in the next 30 days. That means totally within 60 days from creation, you will have to complete. Leave 300. Now it is only next 30 days. Next 30 days means what? 30 plus 30, 60 days. Within 60 days from the creation, with the additional fees, if not registered in the next 30 days. That means that they have given registered within a period of 60 days with ad valorem. Ad valorem means based on that particular difference, you will have to pay it. So registration of charges. So 30, if not 30, within the next 30, if not in the 30, 60 days totally. So that's what they wanted to cover. So 60 plus 60, 120 days is the easy way to remember. Okay. Now registration of charges. Remember that chart really strong, guys, because whenever I am going to cover anything related to that, I will tell you we have already covered that chart. So we can accordingly remember it in a easy way.